guys. Chris, I would like to ask you, before we'll talk about the documentary, I want to point out that it is so difficult to have a hit at all of a show. It's hard to get a show on the air, and Chris already talked about that. But then to have a show that is a hit, that is being shot in as I already said, a city that is beyond moist all the time. And then to be on a network that doesn't, I remember David Letterman, every time he would say Fox, he would burst out laughing because nobody watched that network. UPN had already died. And all of a sudden the X-Files, The Simpsons, and of course 21 Jump Street come on and put this network on the air. Chris, so I guess my question to you is, how the fuck did you do that? I know you did it, but did you think for a second it would end up like this?
Well, I did it for money. And that I'm sitting here more than 30 years later, looking at you guys, looking at the documentary. It's surreal that it's been almost half my life, and it's just been a miracle.
Yeah, everybody knows there are shows, and you, Carly and Lauren, you put this out. If you go back, there are shows from 30 years ago that will never be seen again, right? Because they don't hold up at all. And I have a 16 and 19-year-old, and they want to know what's happening, what's coming next, and they've seen everything, and th's like, it's just like as good as The Boys. And I'm like, holy crap, that's saying a lot to a teenager. I mean, it would be like, I don't even know what the show to compare it to would be. I was born in 1971, so this would be like all the teenagers talking about the Honeymooners or something. And here's where we are. So, Lauren and Carly, first of all, amazing job in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. You really got all sorts of people at different levels of facial hair and haircuts and things like that. And Brian Thompson's background of his kitchen was my favorite.
The microwave door was open the entire time. We didn't notice. It was wide open, and we didn't notice until after the fact.
What was open?
The microwave door.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's bizarre.
Yes.
And then he told us how he built his house.
He built his cabin and then gave us a 24-minute lecture about how we should drive an electric car.
We heard a lot.
It was a great time.
It was the pandemic.
It was during the pandemic. People wanted to chat. It was amazing.
Did you buy an electric car?
No.
Did you guys ever think, as you start, how did you how did you begin it? How did you go, all right, let's do it. Well, let's make this documentary during a pandemic and eventually be on stage with the creator of the show?
Well, I'd like to say that the end goal was to be interviewed by Joel and Chris.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
It's certainly a perk. Thank you both so much.
Yeah, look at the response to that.
Yeah. No, Carly and we reconnected in 2018, like she had mentioned earlier, at a David Duchovny event, and a lot of people noticed my X-Files watch, and they started telling us.
Mine too.
Yes,
Yeah.
They started saying, "Oh, I like your watch. That's why I'm here too. I followed David's career my whole life, and now we're here." And everyone was telling us how the show had positively impacted them. So it wasn't just unique to Carly or myself. It was this kind of shared love and connection that we had with this show that was at that point 25 years old. And we kind of thought, hey, there's kind of a story here. We were shocked at how open people were to share their stories with us. And we just thought it's time to make a love letter to the show about its fans and the positive impact that the show had on them. And then as things progressed, we said, well, what if we thought, let's try to reach out to some of the cast and crew. And then that was so thrilling that we just kept doing it.
And people responded. That was what blew our mind, is we had spoken to a few people at first and kind of got friendly with a few, but we never, obviously Chris was our penultimate, right?
Ultimate goal.
We never in a million years thought we were going to get to that point, and then we had a few interviews at cons. We thought, hey, we're actually doing this, and it continued to progress. And once we got in touch with Chris, it was like a dream. I mean, I can't even explain. This is the man who is the reason why I went into television production right here.
Yeah.
So, Kalen Manzo, my student, this is why, right here. So,
It's called the Carter effect.
it's the Carter effect. Oh, hands down. It wasn't Scully, it was Carter for sure.
I do remember having a conversation with Carly over the phone because it was during the pandemic, and the Pentagon had essentially just said, oh, you know, yes, there's UFOs, and yes, we have a program that's studying them, and here's some tape. And I was like, Carly, now is the time. We have to try to reach out to Chris. Can you imagine if we got to interview Chris over Zoom? I mean, now we're here. So it just kind of, the documentary just kept getting,
true, guys.
it just kept getting bigger and better, and we're still not finished with it. And everyone that we interview is just so incredible and kind. And we always joke, if when we ask, oh, what was it like to work on the X-Files in the early days of our documentary in 2018, if people were like, it was terrible, everyone was awful, they'd be like, well, that's that, we're scrapping it, I don't want to hear about this. So
Not one person
Not one.
had a negative comment. We interviewed well over 100 people.
exactly.
And that's you, Chris. I mean, Joel, you said it. I mean, it's just, it blows my mind. I was lucky enough to work on an incredible show myself when I was younger, and there were still negative comments. Not one from the X-Files.
I can tell you that from watching this documentary that I'm going to start a dating service.
Yeah. I told you about that couch. Well, I want to know, where did you get that weird Viking chair that some of the people were sitting in?
No comment, that's classified information.
That is it looks like it's from Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
That could have an event that we were at. It was a location up in New York State, and that was the only chair.
The only chair, one chair.
One chair that we could use.
Chris, how was that chair? I noticed you were your posture had to be
The king in that
terrific.
chair. You and Nick.
I knew that, so I played, and everyone's still curious what's happening with my character, Tad O'Malley. This is how, after I played him, and it wasn't a gigantic, it was like 2 episodes, still unforgettable. And no, but I was contacted by numerous conspiracy theory, like podcasts. They're like, well, this is who you are, so would you like to come on and discuss some of the things that you talked about in the show? And I was like, ask Chris. I could barely remember my lines. I was so intimidated. And then they asked me if I believed all that stuff and was it true, and I was like, oh, absolutely, dude. The X-Files is a running documentary. Did you ever come up with anything? Did you ever come up with an idea for one of the episodes that you're like, I'll just pull this one out of my butt and be like, maybe this one alien, I don't know, but they can fly by themselves and they can go through time, and that's too extreme, but maybe some sort of government theory that you just made up and then it became a thing?
That's going to be the 3rd movie.
Amazing. He's run for president.
I'd vote for him.
I agree. His poor wife has to sit through most of this, so thank you, Tori. How long have you guys been together?
Married 35 years, together 40 years.
And you were there when Fox first passed. She was there when Fox first passed on it.
Yeah, she remembers it well.
And then, what do you think did it the second time around? What do you think changed? They went. You told them about obviously the number of people that thought they had been abducted and seen UFOs, and that's what did it.
I just refined my pitch, and I played Mulder, and then I played Scully. No, it was more song and dance.
Oh, so you just performed the pitch better.
Yes, I pitched better.
Okay, that's pretty good. It worked. Jeez. I have so many. I have a lot of British questions written out here. It brings up the fact that you were paired with Briscoe County Jr., Bruce Campbell's show at the time, and that went 1 season. And that's got to be very. I mean, and Bruce was in the X-Files, right?
Yeah, he was in the X-Files.
Terms of endearment.
Did he play Briscoe?
That was the character's name, is Briscoe County Jr. I know. And that's the show that the guy that I was taking my marching orders from, he thought that was going to be the hit show of the year. And as Joel said, it faded, and we had a better time slot, Fridays at 9, because they didn't expect anyone to watch then anyway. And so with a small cult following, we lasted 9 years.
There.
Jeez. That's now I'm going to talk about myself, but when the soup started, we were on at 10 o'clock on Friday night. Thanks for remembering, old people. And yeah, when you're put in a desert, no one expects you to live, so they're like, hey, where'd you find the water? Oh, good for you. When you moved to Sundays, were you happy with that?
No, I got upset. I said, my memoirs are going to be titled Fridays at 9. And I didn't want to go to Sunday nights. I was so certain that we were in the perfect time slot. And then they moved us to Sundays anyway, no matter what I said. And the cult show became just a big cult show. And it was, that's how, 30 million people watched an episode after the Super Bowl. It was beyond anyone's dream, certainly the people at Fox.
Yeah, it's amazing that any executive in Hollywood would have their, vision past, 2 or 3 years, or they will go like, this is the biggest hit ever.
Harvey Weinstein did.
Too soon? It's fine. What's going on with him? Is he here? Oh. What a dick. Did you ever inquire? Lauren and Carly, I'm sorry. I've realized I've really gotten off here. Did you, Lauren? Did you? Was there anybody left on the cutting room floor that you interviewed? Did you got everybody in?
We're looking to add more, actually.
Yeah, we're always looking to add more, but
everyone
everybody
is in this cut.
Who did you want that you didn't get?
There's a few. Yeah. We would like to speak to Vince Gilligan. We'd like to speak to Darren Morgan, Glenn Morgan, Daniel Sackheim. There's a few. I mean, honestly, we got most of the cast that we wanted to speak to. We would like to maybe speak to Mimi Rogers.
Sure.
Honestly.
Well, she's here right now, everybody.
Oh, shit.
Mimi, she's here with Harvey.
I don't even know what to ask.
I would, Chris, if you could talk about quickly when Vince got hired to be a writer. Yeah, you told me the story, and I think now that's stuff of legends. But what did he do?
He had written a script that a friend of mine, the guy that wrote and directed Risky Business, had read and said, this is an original voice. And we're 2 years into the X-Files, and I hear that my agency represents Vince Gilligan. And I said, bring him in. And he wrote an episode that would have cost about $30 million to make. So we had to rewrite it and to make it affordable. Anyway, but that was the beginning of a 7-year run with Vince, and this guy has gone on to create some of the most iconic television ever.
And that's where he met Bryan Cranston as well, I believe.
Yeah, we met Bryan Cranston on the X-Files. I take credit for it all.
And Paul as well. He was on
Aaron
that.
Paul as well, yeah.
And whatever happened to Jack Black? Did he go on to do anything else?
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Jeez, you're basically responsible for all of Hollywood for the last...
And Mint Mobile.
And Pilot Gin will be Lauren and Carly, what was your, because you were kids 30 years ago, what was your favorite episode? Or what was your most terrifying episode?
Fluke Man forever has scarred he's just scarred me, especially because he's in New Jersey. So Fluke Man.
Coming for your toilets.
Yeah, the host. I mean, that was just scarring, and I loved it. I loved being scared of it, and I just couldn't look away. And you know, the lighting, and you know, knowing it's a producer in a suit all these years later, and it's just so cool. This is stuff of legends, really. So yeah, that's always my favorite. Carly?
I think my favorite is, I have so many favorites. I'm stuck between Postmodern Prometheus and The Unnatural because
Yes.
I'm a softball player, so The Unnatural is just legendary. But Postmodern Prometheus, I think,
Yeah.
stands out.
Wow.
Pretty good.
How about you, Joel?
Okay, what's the one where the bug crawls across the screen?
Or the conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know how to.
I don't know, does everyone know that Fluke Man in The Host was played by Darren Morgan, who wrote all those comedy episodes?
Yeah.
Everyone does, so.
I've heard of this girl.
Yeah, I think so.
The one when the bug that was also where David Duchovny, where Mulder said he made fun of NBC. I think that was where he made the "it's must-see TV" joke in it. That's the other thing, Chris. And I know that. First of all, always meet your heroes because it's the most coolest thing, and there's only 1% suck. And but your combination of humor and terror is just so unique. I don't think it's ever been duplicated, and I know that there's no question here. Basically, this is the Chris Farley show moment where I'm like, that was great when you did all that. Thanks a lot. So yeah. Anyway, I'll stop. I'm sorry I have to hear all this. Chris brought part of his family, and they've napped this entire time for.
Believe me, them sitting through an hour of my face up there is as much as I can ask of them.
Lauren and Carly, so you guys made this whole thing, put it all together, and got it here. And you said earlier tonight when we were on the red carpet, you said you were pretty nervous. And
Yes.
how do you feel now?
Same.
I feel awesome.
I feel surreal. This whole thing is surreal. I'm looking at Joel McKenna right now, in case you're wondering. And Chris Carter. Surreal.
Hey, look over here.
That's Lauren Kradiger, not Kradiger.
No, it feels awesome. It's incredible to meet so many fans and hear their connection to the show. And you know, we're so thrilled that we could share our passion projects with all of you tonight. So again, thank you so much.
Thanks, you guys. I think at this point we should ask the audience some questions. We'll ask you, not you ask us. So I don't know how the order is going here or how this is going to be organized, but I guess who's ever loudest? No. You guys got any questions for Carly or Lauren or Chris? Not you. Go ahead.
Just wondering for all of you, what was, the most personal season of the X-Files to you? And for Chris especially, what do you think was special about that season and the process that led to making it?
For me, season 3, we had our seasons 1 and 2 were really sort of a test for us, and we were finding our way with cast and crew and writers, but it all came together in season 3. And I don't know if you guys can appreciate this. With streaming video now, they do 8 to 10 episodes. We were doing 25 episodes.
Yeah.
We did, in the first 3 years, we did 72 hours of television. And so season 3 was very sweet because we had kind of, the train had gotten up to speed.
How much time did you get off in that time?
I got off 2 weeks a year, and if I wasn't writing in those 2 weeks, I was behind. Well, Rod Serling has a great line. He said, if he dropped his pencil, he was 2 weeks behind. Tell you, this guy on set, it's like he keeps everyone in stitches. He is so funny. I watched him. He and the camera crew would just give it to each other. They would be vicious with each other, and it was so funny because it was so unexpected.
I was pretty nervous, so my love language is ridicule, and it's the only thing. I was like, why is Chris so nice? I'm talking to David Duchovny right now, and there's Jillian, and I'm going to call her Gillian at some point, because Gillian Jacobs is a friend of mine. I did, when I announced, when the Community movie was announced, Gillian Jacobs it's coming out in at least the next decade. Gillian Jacobs, I spelled the exact same way, but I have called her Gillian. Then I started calling Gillian Anderson Jillian, and she thought it was funny. She thought I was making fun of her name. I'm like, I'm not. I'm just it's the way I've learned. And so I tagged her when I announced the movie. I tagged Gillian Anderson because Gillian doesn't have Instagram. And Jillian, she commented, she's like, sounds cool, I'll be there. Dan Harmon was so happy. This might make the movie go in a completely different direction. All right, there was a question up here.
So I've met everybody on the stage already, except for you, Joel McHale.
And it's not gonna happen.
Well, we'll see. But Chris, for you, Scully's immortality. So, this is a theme for us. We love talking about this, but when did you decide this was going to be the case? Because Clyde Bruckman tells us early, but did you know already? Tell us that plan and everything else.
Well, we speak about immortality. David's porn addictions. We speak about immortality several times in the show, and it played into the series finale in a way that is very important, and as I'm sure most people know here, Scully admits or tells Mulder about her pregnancy in the final episode, and that became very controversial. I mean, a lot of people. Avi Kehata, she closed her website down, her blog, and Jillian got very angry at me, and it's like I wasn't sure why that was. But I actually sort of welcomed the controversy. I thought it was a good thing. But if you follow Scully's maternity, if you will, with Emily and with William, and why does anyone think that this pregnancy is anything other than science fiction? This is a science fiction show. That pregnancy it's spelled out actually at the beginning of the episode, where the truth is out there, is something else, and it is what I had in mind. So I just want to go on record to say it's not necessarily Mulder and Scully's child.
It just opened up.
Yeah. And that's where we're gonna end the panel, guys. How do you like that for a cliffhanger? Lauren, Carly, thank you for making this amazing documentary. Thanks for having me. Gosh. None of this would be here without Chris Carter. Chris Carter, everybody.
To Joel McHale, who came all the way from Los Angeles, is leaving tomorrow, came today, leaving tomorrow. An amazing friend of the show. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you both.
Thank you. That's perfect. All right. We're leaving. All right, there's more monsters coming, I think, right?